This is the Political Spotlight.
The Political Spotlight is a joke. It's more like a political flop.
Nobody listens to Bilbrey.
He's just a wannabe podcaster. No one takes him seriously.
He is a rude, crude dude that will never go any further than broadcasting from his mother's basement.
Bilbrey is a wrecking ball for Indiana politicians.
Grab another box of Twinkies and generic cola, Bilbrey.
And get back to your microphone and your audience of nobodies.
The Political Spotlight is a joke.
He is like a rude, crude dude that will never go
Bilbrey's a wrecking ball for Indiana politicians. Shut that stupid Bilbrey up.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. It's the Political Spotlight. I'm your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey, and we are coming to you live from deep below the Earth's outer crust in the coldest Mud Creek studio in the world. I hope you guys are doing well, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. For those of you that are watching in the morning, good morning. For those of you that are watching around lunchtime, good afternoon. Wherever you're watching in the world, coast to coast with Art Bell. Hey, I hope you guys are doing well, and I hope that you guys have had a good day today. I've had a busy day today, and then not so busy day at the same time. We'll talk about that. I, of course, am your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey. As always, producer Kate's at the controls, keeping things running smoothly. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you're one of our regulars, welcome home. Here on the Political Spotlight, we cut through the noise, the spin, the nonsense to talk about what's really happening without the script, without the talking points, and without treating you like you can't think for yourself. I don't think there are any Nazis here. Nazis? But I guess they could be hiding out. I don't know. I do have a good amount of people that watch, but they don't comment. So some of those people could be. I don't know. You'll have to let me know. I tell you what. If you're a Nazi, don't hit the like button. If you're watching this and you are not a Nazi, to let people know, you better hit that like button. That's a pretty scary thing. I not see any. Hey, thank you for spending a little bit of your time with us. Smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Help spread the word. That's very helpful to us. If you enjoy what we do here, take a second to let us know. That would be fantastic. But don't just watch the show. Be a part of it. Let us know what your thoughts are. If you're watching this live, comment over here on the right-hand side. If you're watching this in the future or via replay, you're going to comment down below. We will get back to you, I promise, one way or another. Let your voice be heard. As you know, the noise is everywhere, and facts are hard to find. That's why we're here, because the truth doesn't fear the spotlight. It only fears the reaper. Don't fear the reaper. More cowbell, please. Let's roll. Hey, ladies and gentlemen. So I went into this week thinking that today and tomorrow would be pretty busy. Had a lot of things going on the first part of the day. Today was scheduled to go to a Muncie Board of Works. Kate did it to me as well. When I was scheduled to go to a Muncie Parks Board meeting this evening, at 6 p.m. And when 6 p.m. rolled around, the meeting did not occur. So there was no Parks Board meeting tonight. It was canceled, and that's what that was. So because of that, I didn't go to the Muncie Fair, the Delaware County Fair. There is another meeting tomorrow, and so I will go to the meeting, and then I think I'm going to go to the fair tomorrow evening and just kind of check in, see what's going on, look around, and do that. So we don't, I was basing tonight's show on a lot of what was going to be coming from the Parks Board meeting. So we don't have a whole lot to talk about in tonight's episode. We do have some things that you need to know that I want to get out. I have a couple videos from the city of Muncie that we're going to play for you guys and do all of that. But then I have some other things. So tonight, first and foremost, straight off the bat, we're going to talk about this fact that the Muncie Parks Board meeting was canceled for a lack of quorum, is what they're saying. I'm questioning if it's not really a lack of quorum, but more a lack of leadership. That's the title of tonight's episode 705, canceled for lack of a quorum or lack of leadership, question mark. I can't decide for you. Only you can prevent forest fires and decide if tonight's meeting, it's kind of a trend. They've been working towards this. Any meetings where Jeff Howe might be on the chopping block, where he might be, taking a ride, where he might get some comments that he might not like. It seems like they've just all of a sudden, all these meetings are lacking quorums all of a sudden. So that's interesting to me, but you'll have to decide. From there, we're going to talk about a little bit of 1043, some 43 that I learned today. The 43 is police code, for those that don't know. 1043 is your 10 code that means information. So for you'll hear cops often say, hey, call me, I have some 43 for you, or for your 43, I just wanted to let you know this. Or you'll hear dispatchers say, attention all units, 1043, this vehicle's been, so they're giving you information. So we've got some information that I've gathered today that I think is interesting, and it relates to the Parks Department, Tui Pool, and the Parks Board kind of as a whole. So we're going to be talking about that. But then you're going to want to stick around to the end, because after we talk about the Parks Board meeting canceling, and after I cover a couple of other city things kind of on a tangent, we're going to go down that rabbit hole for a minute. And then we talk about the 43 for the Muncie Parks Board. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about the very fun topic, the future of this program. Oh my God, what does that mean? It sounds horrible. It sounds bad. Oh my God. Don't freak out. Just hang tight. Let's just get to the end and we'll talk about what I'm talking about. That's where I ask for you to be involved. I want you to give me your input. You can give me your input in the comment section over here. You can text me. You can call me. And in the next couple of days, weeks, but we're going to have to talk about a couple of things. I will call them housekeeping issue. It's not bad, so everybody relax, calm down. It's nothing bad. If you want to interact with us, we put up all of the main places that you can do that. I have not included up here on this screen the audio podcast platform, because if I put up our audio podcast platforms, you wouldn't be able to see our face. We're all over the place. But the big ones are Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Podcast, on and on and on and on and on and on. So please check us out if you are so interested in doing it that way. So, yeah, right, Stumblefoot. So let's go ahead and get into it and make people happy. So first and foremost, before I do that, Kate asked me over in our little private chat place if we have a date yet for the JD bill. I am waiting to hear back from Brandon. Brandon, the last thing I heard from Brandon was he was going to see Brandon. For those of you that may or may not have known, I think it's pretty commonplace now. He didn't want to tell anybody for a while, which is perfectly fine, but he moved. He and his wife moved. And I think people pretty much know that now. We obviously are not giving you his address, but I will tell you, he moved, and when he moved, it was kind of a cluster, and the computer wasn't really working where he had it, so he took it down. He did some moves, things. They've been doing the back to school thing. They're both back in grad school doing all of that. But he said he needed to put the computer back together and get everything working, and that he would then let us know when he could do that. So he's normally asleep by the time we get off the show, but I will send him a message that he will. Brandon and I do this thing where we both like to talk to each other while the other's sleeping. So I message Brandon. Kate and I are generally chatting until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It's just like the conversation between Kate, Brandon, and I. If I can, probably the best way to describe it would be like, imagine if you pick up the phone and you dialed 2 friends, okay? And you called them, and then you put the phone on speaker, and then you just like laid it down in the middle of the room, and you went about life. And periodically, one of them just goes, hey, by the way, and then like maybe we all come back onto the phone and talk right then, or maybe I'm like mowing the yard, but my phone's just going, and Kate and Brandon are talking. And then I come back in, and then I get, caught up. But then I like talk, and maybe nobody hears it, but then Kate hears it. And so that's just like what it is. It's like a never-ending conversation that we're just always on. And so we talk at periodic different times, and sometimes it takes a minute. And so Kate and I are on it at odd hours. I would say Kate and I both have pretty odd hours. Very dysfunctional. Yes, I would definitely say that. It's definitely a form of dysfunction. Brandon has a pretty set routine and schedule. And so, he's pretty normal for that. Now, he does have to drive for his work, so he gets up relatively early. So sometimes he will be adding to our group chat at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and 7 o'clock when he's on his way to work. And then we will get those and then interact all throughout the day. But so when we get off the show, I will leave Brandon a message and hope that I hear back from him tomorrow morning. I'm assuming. So hopefully I'll be able to let you know tomorrow evening what time the show will be. So watch or check in. I will also post it everywhere because I want people to know. And I'm starting to get a lot of people talking about it because I've been posting it on like some of the Rob Kindle programs. And I was talking, Rainwater and I like passed each other in the hallway in the comment section here recently. So maybe we'll be doing some talking with him again here soon. But that's that. So I did want to get that information out. Okay, now getting on to today. So today is Tuesday. If you're watching this live, it's Tuesday, July 21st, 2026. For those of you that are watching via replay in the future, thank you for being here. But this is being recorded, live streamed, and broadcast at right now. It's 9:22 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026. It's the third Tuesday of the month, which means generally we would have a Muncie Parks Board meeting this evening. And I was all ready to go. I felt like everything was going to be interesting. I was trying to figure out if I felt that Jeff Howe would be there. Of course, keep in mind, Jeff Howe is no longer the acting mayor. However, he is still, to my knowledge, because I haven't heard otherwise, he is still currently the deputy mayor. I don't know how long that will last, or maybe it will be indefinite. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, because amazingly, Ridenhour or Jeff, neither one have answered my questions. So that is what it is. But so ridiculous that I can't get Ridenhour, in some offhanded comment at the end, right before he goes out on medical leave, says, "Oh, by the way, I brought somebody in as deputy mayor. See you, kids." And then he feels like he just doesn't ever have to talk about it ever again, and that we're supposed to not care. It's one of those things that they're like, man, Bilbrey's going crazy about this. Like, why does he even care? Literally, there's people out there saying, like, why do you care about this? I don't even understand that. I don't care if you like Trump, hate Trump, like Vance, hate Vance. And I don't care where you stand on what's going on with the presidency. If all of the sudden you start getting changing names of these people, everybody's going to want to know what's going on. And that should trickle down. It should trickle down to the governor's office, lieutenant governor, any elected official or appointed official, anybody that has the name, a mayor, the title rather, mayor or deputy mayor in your community. Like, look, I get it. I understand. The person, Shelby, probably doesn't give much of a shit about who the deputy mayor in Muncie is. But if you live in Muncie, you either care, or if you don't care, you're stupid and you should care. Okay? So it's not crazy that I'm trying to get Ridenhour to understand what's going on and that he needs to answer us. Like, that's not crazy of me. It's crazy that I can send an email to two men who are supposed to be grown adult men, who are supposed to be professionals, who are supposed to be public servants, and then copied on that same email is an adult woman who is the communications director, an adult woman who is the mayor's secretary, and none of these adults can or will respond. It's crazy. Absolutely nuts. So that is what it is. I it's shocking to me, but I can't even think that tangent I was going on. Where was I going with that? It was time for the park board meeting. And so I was wanting to know if he was going to be there tonight, because even though he's not the deputy mayor, he still currently has a contract with the city that says, and I'm not going to pull this up for you because I've pulled it up so many times. You've all seen it. We've all talked about it, but I am going to pull it up here, and I am going to look at this just to look at it so I can cover this in my own mind. In the addendum to the contract that was signed on the 21st day of May, 2026. So it was signed this year. It said that they were adding to his job titles. They were adding to his responsibilities and to his duties. They were adding the following: that the professional, George Jeffrey Howe, shall provide general oversight, strategic guidance, and ongoing monitoring for the period from May 1st through September 30th. So whatever the hell that is, when they signed into an agreement on the 21st of May, he was supposed to have been doing it for the 20 days beforehand. I don't know how that works. But even though he's no longer the acting mayor, and even if he's no longer the deputy mayor, hell, he could no longer be the deputy mayor. He could either be the deputy mayor or he could not be the deputy mayor. He's either the Muncie Redevelopment Commission director, or he's the Muncie Redevelopment Commission director and the deputy mayor. To me, I don't care what his title is. Yeah, right. That's exactly true, Space Cat. But whatever his title is, he still has until September 30th to provide general oversight, strategic guidance, and ongoing monitoring, whatever that is. He also shall provide regular summary progress reports to the mayor of the city of Muncie or the mayor's designee on a weekly basis. So for the last 43 days, he was talking to himself. That makes a lot of sense. But now he needs to be doing this weekly to Dan Ridenour. I think I'm going to tell them that I want that report. Every week I want a copy of his report. Every week. But that's not all. He also needs to provide monthly status advisory regarding Tui Pool's operation to the City of Muncie's Parks and Recreation Board during the months of June, July, August, and September. Okay? So, he should, in my opinion, be at these meetings. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about that here a little bit later on, where I think I was wrong and what I think happened here. But then beyond that, then it says he also shall devote at least a minimum of 10 hours per month, each month, from May through September, in the performance of duties related to Tui Pool. Okay? And so they added those 1, 2, 3, 4 different duties to his list of current duties. All right. And they did that on the 21st of May. So I'm just trying to double check that. But one of those things, in my opinion, was he was supposed to do this for the Parks Board. So I've been waiting for tonight's Parks Board meeting. There were several things that I wanted to hear what was happening. I wanted to hear some reports on what's going on out at the North Shore, Prairie Creek. I wanted to hear what in the world is going on at Tui Pool. Why are we still having this mess? I wanted to hear from Hal on what his thoughts were. And then I had some questions I wanted to ask of the Parks Board members. So, needless to say, when I found out that it was canceled, I was more than a little put out. Now, same question I had last week about the Muncie Redevelopment Commission. Will they reschedule this meeting for next week, or the week after, or the week after? Or will we just skip the July meeting and go into the August meeting? Time will tell. I don't know. Now, before I continue on, I do want to hit really quickly Shelby's point here, and I will tell you this. Shelby says, I just wish someone would do the same work you're doing down here. It's awesome. I will tell you, Shelby, if you're still here, if there are things going on in your neck of the woods, if there are issues and you and other citizens down there would like some help and would like me to poke and prod around, I don't just dig around in my own neck of the woods. I think you've been on here maybe long enough to see that I also dig outside of my community. Right now we're basically in the East Central Indiana area. I've done some stuff in Indianapolis. I went kind of a little north and every now and then poke and prod around. But I always say, as long as I have citizens who are willing to provide me the basic level of information of where I need to start at, and can help provide some information from that, I have got no problem digging around in another community, helping do things, helping bring information to light, asking for records, going to meetings, and doing those types of things. So I just want to let you know, if you are interested in something like that, you could give me a call. There's my phone number. Obviously, don't call me now. Call me tomorrow at your choice. You can pick a time to call me, or you can text me. Okay, so there's the number to do that. You can also email me at here, khbilbrey@gmail.com. And all you got to do is say, hey, here's my number, call, whatever. Or you can email the show at tpsprogram@gmail.com. Okay, you can do any one of those things, and we can talk. I know that you obviously come on here as a screen name, okay? And I want to let you know, I'm sure you've heard me say this by now, but I don't ever burn sources. You don't ever have to tell me who you are. I always tell people it's helpful if you'll tell me who you are. If you'll tell me who you are, it tends to be helpful. Okay? Did you lose me, or can you see me? Okay, it's just the monitor acting freaky. So
a little fuzzy again, but it's,
okay.
That's a work in progress.
Yeah, and I'll tell you about that here in a minute too, everybody. So you're just exceptionally fortunate that you've never had to cancel a parks. But it would be cool if I know who I'm talking to. It gives a little bit of more credibility to me, and it's helpful. But I don't ever burn people, so you're safe. You are safe, and sound. Nobody will ever know. It is what it is. So yeah, make contact with me and kind of tell me what you guys are working with down there, and I will see what I can do to help you out. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. Okay, the last little bit of information I'm going to say off of the topic here really quick is I have done everything possible that I can do to make sure that we don't have bad audio, bad video, glitchy audio. I have done every single possible thing that there is to do. I have no more options. The next option, I've already done it. The next option is calling Xfinity, having Xfinity come out, and having Xfinity, instead of helping me hook. See, here's the deal. In the old studio, when I was in the upstairs basement, at the old studio, at the Lighthouse studio, Lighthouse Studio, is that what it was called? I forgot by now. But when we were there, the router and modem and everything was directly under the desk, and everything hardwired into my equipment with Ethernet cable. I was wired in. And that's why we didn't have problems with that. because I'm where I'm at in the basement, I am miles from the router. You guys think that I'm joking when I tell you that it takes me 2 elevators and a set of stairs to get down here. I am not joking. I am so far away from the earth that I've talked to Xfinity, and Xfinity has stated that they can get me service, and even though I'm so far down, we can do it. They know about the setup we've got. They said we can do it. And I set that appointment up yesterday, I think. But the earliest they can be here is between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. on Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday the 29th. So a week from tomorrow. So all we have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is get through tonight, tomorrow is and Thursday. Okay. That's the rest of this week's show. Then we'll be off Friday, and Saturday we'll be off Saturday, unless something stupid happens. Obviously, you know how that goes. Then we will be on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then when we meet back here in a week from tomorrow, we will have excellent service. We will be hardwired in with Ethernet cable. Everything will be fantastic. And we will be cooking with Crisco. It went from the basement under the stairs above the attic to an absolute bunker under the earth. Absolutely. So yeah. So that's the deal. Oh no, I will definitely be at the same. So yeah, we'll talk about that here in just a bit. We'll talk about those meetings. So getting back on track. So I was worried that maybe tonight's meeting was canceled. Are the laboratories on the floor above you? they are above me. Thank God. And so I want to make sure what we've got going on in this picture here. I just got in a group of pictures here. I'm double checking. I'm making sure. Man, I tell you what, one thing I got to give him credit for, Dan Flanagan is still rocking it. He's out there just like he's still running for office. It's like he's not slowing down. He's not quitting. Okay, I started to freak out because I thought that they moved Dave Williams' sign again. I was really, really nervous. But it doesn't look like... Man, I tell you, the gatekeeping that goes on with the Delaware County Republican Party is absolutely gross. So stupid. We'll talk about that a little bit later too. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked because someone sent me that. So okay, the Parks Board meeting tonight. I had a couple of questions that I wanted to ask. And normally I'm okay of just putting my information out there and they can hear it or someone can tell it to them and then I can ask them later. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, for these couple of questions, I want to hold them close to my chest on this and close to the vest, keep them locked in and not give the questions because I want to see the faces and I want to hear the answers in real time. I don't want them to have a chance to, think about this, okay? So that's first and foremost. So we won't be going over that. But besides my questions that I wanted to talk about in the public comment section, I was really interested in hearing what Taylor Beard had to say to the board. Taylor Beard is the new director of Prairie Creek. I wanted to hear what he had to say. He's the guy that's been out there working for a while, and I respect him. His yeah, that's right. That's right. His plan has been great. He's been doing a good job, but his hands are tied by the administration, and that's just what it is. But I wanted to hear what he had to say. I wanted to hear what they had to say to him. I wanted to hear what the board had to say about Tui Pool. I am dying to hear this. But then I also want to hear, I was waiting to hear what Jeffrey Howell's presentation to the board would be. So finding out that they were canceled was, it was just so shocking. I'm like, come on, man. Why is this continuing to happen? I don't understand what we have going on here. Okay? Now, look, I get that things come up. I understand that accidents happen, and sometimes there's no other way to handle it. I get it. I understand it. It is what it is. Okay? But I don't know. So the city of Muncie says the Parks Board meeting scheduled for today, July 21st, 2026, has been canceled due to lack of quorum. Okay. And so there are 5 members on the Muncie City Parks Board. Okay. And those board members are Brad Marshall. He's the president. Shannon Powers, the vice president. Mark Irvin, a member. Chandra Parks, member. And Ashley Wright, member. Okay. Now, Mark Irvin, not only is he a member, but he's also a city attorney for Ridenauer, for the mayor's office, for the Ridenauer administration, not city council, but there's a difference between the city council and the city administration. They both have attorneys. The city council attorney's Brandon Murphy, and Mark Irvin, working for Beasley Gilkinson, is the attorney for the mayor and his administration. But he also, in this role, is a park board member. Okay. So I posted on the city's comments. Welcome back, Alva. I posted and said, well, old George Jeff. Now I call him that because apparently his name is George Jeffrey Howe. That's a really weird name. Like some names work like, double first names for first and middle, but George Jeffrey Howe is like, they really, that's like, they wanted him to have like, he was going to be like George Jeffrey Howe the third, something like that. It's just so crazy to me. But old George Jeff, I said, he lucks out again. Okay. And look, I'm not the only one that thinks this. David Coakley, whoever that is, David Coakley says they're going out of their way to protect this ass clown and the mayor. Okay. Look, I don't know who David Coakley is, but that guy sees it a million miles away. Okay. Whatever. He sees what's going on here. All right. Jackie says the county fair. I love this. Jackie says the county fair takes precedence. Sheep, cows, ice cream, hot dogs. Then she puts some fair emojis and then she says, unbelievable. Now, listen to me. I don't know if somebody somewhere said that this was canceled due to the fair. I don't know if that's just an assumption she made. I want it to be just an assumption that she made. I want this to not have been said somewhere. And I want her just to have assumed, well, they must be at the fair. That's a bunch of bullshit. And then made this post. and here's what I don't like being wrong. And I don't like when other people are wrong. And listen to me. Jackie's somebody that pays attention. She's a pretty sharp cookie when it comes to all this stuff. She pays attention to all the meetings. She knows what's going on. She's got her finger on the pulse of what happens. She's really locked in. Okay. And I mean that being serious, because like she does follow along with the stuff going on, and she talks to people and you know, so she knows what's going on. But I want her to be wrong. And the only reason I want her to be wrong is just because, like, I love that. That's something I would do. I would be like, all right, well, they canceled it because those lazy asses are out at the fair, and it's not, you know, that, and whether it's right or wrong. And I just love that assumption. And let me tell you, when we as the public see something like this, and then we assume something like this, what happens is people like Shireen Wegley and you know, other people who are obsessed with being right there in the mayor's corner, Amber Green, Lindsay Corey Fink, all those people, all right? When we as citizens get mad and we post something like this, those people say, oh, look, they're just making their dumbass things, you know, they're not right. They don't know anything. They just like to write yada, yada, yada. And it's like, you're missing the bigger picture, Shireen. It's because of all of the other crap you guys do that we are aware of, that we just assume that that's something that you would do. You know, we just assume that this is something. It says a lot about you guys that good, honest, hardworking, intelligent, strong-willed people out in the community think this low of you, that the first assumption is you're just off screwing around at the fair. So, right or wrong, Jackie's right. Because maybe it didn't happen this time. But Shireen still takes off every Friday. To be fair, aren't they what? What are you saying? Well, I don't know if the Parks Board is, or I don't know specifically if the Parks Board is. I mean, we're talking about Brad Marshall, Shannon. I mean, I don't know none of those people specifically are like Brad Marshall is very political, but he's not currently running. He doesn't have any family running. Chandra Parks wouldn't be there for any reason. Ashley Wright, she oftentimes runs, but I don't know why they couldn't make a quorum tonight. Okay. So as you can see here on the screen, maybe you can, maybe you can't. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So with 5 people, you have to have at least 3 there. And so the fact that we couldn't make at least 3, that's telling. Now, it very well could be the park. Maybe they had a legitimate reason. But it's kind of like the little boy who cried wolf. You know, no one believed him because in the end he had cried wolf one too many times, and it just didn't matter. Well, you act a fool so many times that maybe that one time you don't. It's kind of like John Sproles down in Henry County. You know, he does all this crazy stuff and causes the insurance to go crazy. And then the following month, one of his deputies is answering a call for service during a rainstorm, and he wrecks, not on purpose. He wasn't doing anything crazy stupid. He might have been going a little fast, but cops go fast. They're trained for that stuff. He just kind of hydroplaned and went out, and wrecked. And it's like, that's not the one that's bad, but because of all the other bad stuff you've done, this one nails you. So it is what it is, I think it's interesting that, to me, that I and a lot of other people were putting a lot of pressure on the fact that Jeff Howell should be at this meeting and fulfilling his contractual obligations. It's interesting that right after the big ordeal last week of Jeff vetoing Ordinance 1326, that they canceled the Muncie Redevelopment Commission that Jeff Howell was going to be at and is the director of. So I find it all a little too cute for something like that not to have something like that happening. So I just think that's kind of funny. I'm going to see what everybody else says. Elizabeth Edgel says, what is being done about this? I'm serious. If this administration doesn't make sure that its boards and committees are full and in working order, I'll go to the state. Remember a little thing called the law? This city is falling down around us inside and out. Get your crap together. What the hell? Okay. And that caused the city of Muncie Communications, Amber Green, to say, well, thank you for your concern. For the sake of accuracy, this board, as well as all other city boards and commissions, is currently fully appointed, or are currently fully, I don't know, as well, are fully appointed. This meeting was canceled solely because of unforeseen, sudden scheduling conflicts involving more than 2 board members, not because of vacancies. We appreciate your interest in city boards and commissions. Have a great day. Oh my God. It's almost like that's a great response. Not calling anybody any names, not, I can hear the sarcasm in her post there, but it is what it is, okay. Susan Seifert says communications, Board of Works, board members who know the schedule should not have any conflicts. Which is more important? No smooth as butter answers, thank you. Now, she did get it wrong. I guess everybody all day long has been thinking this is the Board of Works. It's actually the Parks Board. So that's what happens is they love when this happens because this gives them a chance to come back and be like, see, you're dumb. This isn't the Board of Works. It's the Parks Board. Wah, wah. That's what they get to do. So the communications director comes back and says, could you elaborate on what you mean by Board of Works? Simply naming a board isn't a question. Board members are human. On a very rare occasions, unforeseen conflicts happen. We choose to extend grace instead of pretending people should be immune to life's unexpected events. If you've truly never had a scheduling conflict, you're exceptionally fortunate, and we love that for you. Here's what's going to happen. she's going to kill us all with kindness. I honestly would rather her go back to her being her regular self. I don't want to read comments like, and we love that for you. I can't deal with the whole toxic positivity thing. I can't. That's just dripping of that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just a bitcher. Maybe I'm not happy either way. Maybe they're right. Nothing they could do can satisfy me, and I'm just going to complain because I certainly don't want to just continue hearing this.
That's still a very rude thing to say.
It is. It is.
It's rude. It's at least it's not bitchy.
Yeah.
But it is still inappropriate and rude.
It's the whole gotcha. We got you. You're one up. You were wrong. You're dumb. Jail says, we love that for you. Nice. If there aren't enough attendees for a quorum, that means more than one member had something miraculously pop up on the day of the meeting. Hate that for them. I don't really know what that means. Now, listen to this. This is interesting to me. Kimberly Lee. Responding to the initial comment was your prerogative, and you had every right to do so. However, it would have been better to leave it there. The follow-up response came across as argumentative rather than informative. This city continues to struggle with leadership, including knowing when to communicate, how to communicate, and when it's best to simply let the message stand. Engaging in an argument with public does not demonstrate transparency. It raises questions about professionalism, judgment, and maturity. I agree that scheduling conflicts happen. The city experienced one, and people are entitled to their opinions. You provided an update, which was appropriate. What I question is the need for the second argumentative response, because that's what the focus shifted from. That's when the focus shifted from providing information to creating unnecessary conflict. And I absolutely love that. And I don't know who this is. Kimberly Lee. Oh yeah. Yeah. This person recently, I've interacted with this person on a couple different post here lately, and it's always brilliant comments. I always love her comments, and that's fantastic. And what I noticed was after she commented, Amber didn't respond, and I think that's because Kimberly Lee appears to be a very intelligent woman, beautiful woman. I'm sure she's strong, and Amber doesn't feel like she can, she's not going to belittle and slap her down the same way that Amber likes to try to do. Somebody else I don't know says, which board members decided to spend the day at the fair instead of attending the meeting? That's hilarious to me. And then Jay Org says, just walk through and see which ones are running for office. Look at it this way. If they aren't working, they can't be making things worse. So, listen, I guess that is very true too. So it is what it is. Look, I'm going not Amber's defense, because she's defenseless in most of shit. I'm not going to be unrealistic. Things happen. Accidents occur. Bad shit happens. I hope and pray it wasn't any of that for any of the people involved. Okay? Things happen that are beyond our control. What I will find weird is if they don't reschedule this meeting. Look, canceling today's meeting because something cropped up and they couldn't be there is perfectly fine. It happens. But if they cancel today's meeting because something cropped up and they then don't reschedule the meeting for next week, then I have to wonder, why are we not rescheduling the meeting? So what I will do is I'm going to take this issue, and instead of getting all crazy about it, I'm going to and put it in my pocket and save it for a rainy day. And if or when next week or 2 weeks they haven't made a rescheduled meeting, then I'm going to pull it out of my pocket and I'm going to get real mad, because then that will be inexcusable, not excusable, whichever way you want to say it. Okay? That's when I will have the problem, because things do pop up. I get it. I don't have a problem with that. 100%. I know that shit happens. Okay? It's just what happens. It is what happens. And I like what Jackie said here. I was making an assumption. Interesting that within 1 week, 2 major city boards canceled their meetings due to lack of quorum. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, you need to calm down and try to get along with your mayor, Dad, Danny. So that's all I got to say about that. I don't know. Okay. So what we'll do is let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to get into what I learned today, which also kind of ties into the park board the meeting tonight, other meetings, things in the future. It's kind of interesting, and I want to hear what you guys think about this. So we'll get into that. You guys sit tight. Gross. You guys sit tight. We'll be right back. This is the Political Spotlight, episode 705. We'll be right back. All right. We're back. Felt like we never left. So, I got a little bit of information today, and I've got to think about how I got to say this, because I don't want to burn anybody. So, long story short, I was having a conversation with somebody in City Hall. Okay. So we'll this person is a works for the city government, city of Muncie, and would have knowledge, or should have knowledge of, like, what's going on with Jeff Howell as acting mayor. This person should know, like, what he's doing or saying. Like, this person is somebody that is plugged in. And I was talking to this person about the Parks Board meeting being canceled, and they they knew it was being canceled. They told me before I ever saw the thing from City Hall, they said, yes, it was canceled. They didn't have a quorum. And I was like, okay. So like this person was able to provide like that information. Okay. So this person is plugged in. And again, this just goes to show you, I have contacts that will give me this information that does play along and provides what is going on. So I said, I can't believe that this is the second meeting in within the week, the greater week. So like last Thursday, they were supposed to have the redevelopment commission and they didn't. Then they have Friday, then the weekend, then Monday and Tuesday. And then now, just a couple days out from last Thursday, here we are not having the Parks Board meeting. And I just find that interesting. And this person said, did you hear that the Parks Board met last week? And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, they met last week. And I said, they met last week doing what? And then the person said, well, they said, well, is it not live streamed? And I quickly went to look and I was like, no, there's nothing live streamed. What do you mean they met? Well, then we worked it out and it was an executive meeting. So then we found out, and I was like, no, those aren't live streamed. Those aren't live streamed. If I would have known about it, I couldn't have got into it. They wouldn't have let me in. They could have legally barred me from being there. Now, they could also let me be there. There's nothing that says they can't let me be there, but I guess they couldn't let me be there if they were discussing personnel matters. I guess that they couldn't do that. But outside of that, well, there's really only a few other things they deal with. So, it would be weird. Anyways, so we figured out that the reason that no one knew about this was it was an executive meeting. And I said, no, that's not how that works. They hold executive meetings and we don't go to them, but they can't hold them in secret. They still have to give notice. They still have to provide 48 hours notice. They can't just call an executive meeting and hold an executive meeting without anyone knowing. So my question first and foremost to all of you out there in City of Muncie land, in government watcher mode land, did anybody know that there was an executive meeting of the Muncie City Parks Board meeting last week? Did anybody know that? Don't all speak at once. And I'll tell you this. If any of you knew it and you don't want to post it here, but you would rather email, text me, or hit me up on Facebook, you're more than welcome to do that. So number one, I don't know when the meeting was last week, but I know sometime between Monday the 13th and Friday the 17th, the Muncie City Parks Board met. That's interesting. Moving on, we found out, we were able to talk through the point of the executive meeting last week was Tui Pool and the management plan for next year. Now, I don't know that that falls under the exemption for having a closed door meeting. I don't know. I just don't know. I that's not good. No meeting since March of 2026. Of course, I brought that up. There wouldn't be minutes. Okay. I didn't say Dan had Dan. To my knowledge, wasn't there. So, what I'm hearing from my source, who is a city employee, who's connected, I'll put it to you this way: this person's connected enough to know a lot of good information, but they didn't know specifically what the difference between like a special meeting and executive meeting. Like they thought that the meeting was being held, so just FYI. And so that was interesting to me. But this person went on and said that the only people there were the 5 Parks Board members and Carl Malone. Now, that is never good. That's not a good thing, because who the hell knows what Carl Malone is trying to spring on the people in the Parks Board. I don't like that. That's right. That's right, Snubblefoot. So then, and I will tell you, I reached out to a couple different people of the Parks Board to ask questions. Number one, about the executive meeting, and number two, to ask a question about George Jeffrey Howe. Could Carl be wanting to get rid of Howe, vacate the contract? That would be amazing. I almost think that would be. That's funny. That's a good thought there, but I don't know. I think Carl would be too afraid to try to pull something like that. I think Carl just does his own thing, tries to stay in his own lane, and tries not to rock the boat or make waves if he can possibly help it. So anyways, interesting enough, I ask other people along with my source, does anybody know anything about the fact that Jeffrey Howe is supposed to be coming to Parks meetings in June, July, August, and September, and presenting the Parks Board with Tui Pool updates? And everyone that I talked to today about this did not know that. Did not know this. Okay. I will specifically say that one of the Parks Board people said that they had not seen that contract. They didn't know anything about the contract. So I provided that contract to them. I was like, so you guys didn't know about this? You didn't know anything about it? It is what it is. So I then went on. I'm looking down here, and I'm trying to be careful of what I'm saying. That's why I'm covering myself really carefully, because I'm not trying to burn anybody. That's when today, this evening, I was told that Hal has provided Tui Pool updates to the Parks Board. So he's not attending the meetings. He's just emailing them. So hearing that, I filed yet again another record request with the city of Muncie asking for any email or written communications between Jeff Howell and the Parks Board, Carl Malone, Taylor Beard, or anyone related to the City Parks Department from May 1st through today's date. And we'll see how long it takes for them to give that to me. But this is just another thing that him and Dan do, that they're like, well, I need to provide this to them. I don't want to go and have to mess with this on the record. So I'm just going to email it. And if the people don't like it, well, tough. You know? And so I got a problem with that, of course. That brings me back to my question about his responsibilities, the duties that he's supposed to have picked up. Is he doing them? Is he not doing them? Is he half-assing them? He's like, well, I'm doing them, but I'm doing them in my own way. Well, that is not good enough. It is not good enough. And I think it is what it is. So I wanted to let you guys know that he's been telling them something. They apparently had an executive meeting. I'm working on trying to find out more about what that's about. And I want to know if they noticed this meeting. Did they say, hey, we're having an executive meeting on Thursday, and, here's the, we're going to do it next week, or we're going to do it in 48 hours. Did they properly notice this? Because if they didn't, even though it's an executive meeting, they can be in trouble. So, meaning I can file a complaint. We can go through that process. So I'm going to dig all of that up, and I have a record request for whatever he's been giving them. I'm also interested in, I need to get back contact with my connections on the Parks Board. And I want to find out. I want to find out what their thoughts are of this. Like, I know that Shannon Powers can't be happy with what's going on. I really wish I could communicate with her. I wish she would communicate with me. I don't know that she wouldn't, but that's where I am with that. I just think it's I think that we're making some headway here with this, with Hal and with others. I think people are coming along, but we still need to get more people involved, and we need to make some newer connections, because some of the old ones are going away, and we do have to be able to connect and network and talk. And so that's something I'm going to be working on. But hopefully we'll have those records soon. I think that makes it the third or fourth record request that I've put in the last week. I think that makes a grand total of, with last week and the week, I think that's like 6 different record requests. I've got in 5 or 6 different emails, and so far I have nothing. So I will keep you guys posted on when we get information about that. And I'm just looking here in my emails just to double check to make sure I didn't receive let me see here. Give me a second. Okay. So yeah, I don't have anything. Yeah, I sent a follow-up email to Amber about my Board of Works request and about the most recent request. I sent a follow-up email to Dan and to Jeff, and still nothing. So yeah, I don't have any of that. So that's that. As far as that goes, I don't know what else they talked about. I don't know what's going on. The reason I'm really monitoring this, and the reason I'm really put off by this, and the reason that I have a problem with it being so hush-hush is just like the North Shore, we could all wake up this November, get a press conference to show up at the third floor of City Hall, and Dan could just say, well, we made the decision to close TUI. And I'm just saying for his sake, I mean, he's nearly crushed it with the Prairie Creek deal. I think that would put the nail in his political career's campaign's coffin, because I think that would be a bad thing. So it almost would be interesting if they would actually go ahead and cancel, shut off TUI, because it would cause so much outrage. But I'm not that kind of person. I would rather them figure it out and us work to better it and not just lose it for the sake of causing Dan hassle. Insane. So I'll keep you guys posted on that and let you know. Moving away from this topic, as I said, if I hear more, we'll keep you guys posted, and that's that. Now we are going to move into the third topic of the show, and that is the future of the program. While I was talking to these people today, I was talking to a couple different people from the city of Muncie. I've talked to one from Delaware County, and I actually talked to somebody else from Henry County on an unrelated topic. But it's funny because I had a variation of this conversation with three different people today, starting out as a joke. And then from the joke, it turned into a real conversation. And so I have long said to you guys, and matter of fact, I don't even say it anymore. I have battled on here the way to conduct the show. Okay. I question, do we do an hour and a half, 2 hour show nightly? Do I do a 15-minute show nightly? Would more people watch it if it was 15 minutes every night? Look, for you guys that watch for 2 hours nightly, you would probably still watch the show if it was 15 minutes and I left every night. You would probably watch that because you're right now watching an hour and a half or 2 hours. So you would probably watch a 15-minute show if I just covered, hey, here's what happened. To me, though, that's less opinion and more just the news side of it. Just the journalism side of it, and that's not my interest. I know I meander, and it just depends. If I have like a long show planned out that we're talking about, I hit it, and I have the points written down, and I go bam, 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 bam. Like this last topic I talked about when I was talking about the information that I had learned from the people today. It seems like I was thinking a little longer about my wording and trying to be careful and kind of like stuttering and stammering a little bit. But that's because I was really trying hard. Because I'll put it to you this way. If I would have just put my phone aside, because I had information on my phone, and then next to that, I had written out some notes. I should have put it on paper. But if I would have just thrown my phone to the side and just started talking, there are things that I could have said or would have said from the conversation today that would have given away, at least to some people out there, who I was talking to. And I cannot do that. I will piss you guys off. I will drive everybody crazy. I will do whatever I have to do to never burn somebody who's trusting me enough to provide me information. I just will not do it. And so that's the reason that last section was like kind of haphazard, because I'm looking what I had and I'm looking at our conversation, and I was trying to word it in such a ways that I was skipping over parts that would out who it was I was talking to, because I can't do that. I would never be able to do that. If I ever burnt one person, that would be the end of it. I would have no more sources. No one would tell me anything else ever again. So I can't do that. So I apologize for that. But outside of that, even when I'm not doing that, even when I have a show planned, look, I know sometimes we start the program and we talk for 20 minutes about a haircut, or we talk about a Beatles song, or we talk about being outside, or we talk about a gun. I get it. I could cut all that shit out. But I've asked this question enough times, and while some of you sometimes get irritated at me, enough of you have said, like, we like the way it is. This is not like a news program where you're sitting down and reading what happened and then it being done. It's like a conversation. Like, I love how Eric said it. Admiral Eric said it, in my opinion, the best. My grandpa says this all the time. It's like having a conversation with somebody who's sitting on your couch or sitting at the kitchen table, and you're able to just talk and listen, and I feed back and forth, because that's the way we could do it. We could just say, screw all the comments. I could come on and record a show at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. As soon as City Hall closes, I could record an hour-long show and put it live to run. And you guys could comment there, but you would get no feedback from me, and it would just be you guys commenting. We could do that, but I don't know how fun that would be for me. I don't know how fun that would be for you, and I'm not interested in a show like that. The reason I like this is because I like to talk, and I know that we don't have a conversation like a normal conversation where you get to talk, I get to talk, you get to talk, I get to talk. But even though we've got the delay, and even though you guys are typing, we still do carry on a pretty good conversation, and I love it. I love that conversation. So I am thankful that anytime I've asked this in the past, you guys have all convinced me that you appreciate, for the most part, you appreciate the way that I do it, and that you appreciate the drawn out process. And I know some of it sometimes annoys you people, and I get that, but even the things that annoy you guys, there are bits of this that I have to paint the picture, and it sucks, I know, but I have to paint it every time. If we talk about Jeff Howell getting nominated on May 29th tonight, and then I talk about another topic involving that tomorrow, I have to still cover bits and pieces of what I talked about tonight. So if somebody's watching tomorrow and they didn't watch tonight's episode, they will at least know enough to help them. And so I understand that sometimes gets old and that bothers you guys. But I try my best. And when I get going too crazy, Kate helps me. Kate will text something or tell me to wrap it up, or she'll flip me off, or she'll point her finger gun to her head or something. She lets me know. So I appreciate you guys, flowing with that. That said, one of the people that I was talking today, and I trust this person. I like this person as an individual. I care about this person as a person, as a human. I feel like they care about me, and it's not somebody who's just blowing smoke up my ass. It's somebody who we have meaningful conversations. And I said something to this person. I said, "Hey," because based on what we were talking about, I was like, "Man, you got to start watching the show." or else you would have known this. You didn't know this. And they were like, no, huh? And I was like, what in the world? And I sent it to him, and I was just joking, saying, I get it. Not everybody can watch the show. I get it. I don't expect everybody to do that. I have no hard feelings. And I know that this person catches the show from time to time and tunes in when something really big's going on, because we've communicated. They've commented before and things like that. So I get it. But I said, man, you got to start watching the show. That way you would know what's going on. Geez, that's crazy. And this person said, like, look, I got to tell you something. I got to be honest. Just because of what I have going on in my life and my family and everything that's going on, the episodes are too long. I can't sit through it all. I try to watch, and I do watch. And if there's something that's big and important on pertaining to what I'm doing or something that I've interacted with or whatever, I do watch that. But very rarely do I watch everything. But the person didn't end there. The person followed up and said, I absolutely wish that you had a Cliff Notes version. That's right, Six Puppies. Yay, you hit the like button and it helps. This person said, I wish you had a Cliff Notes version that would be easier to read or watch. And then we talked about a couple of other things, and this person says, like, look, I know that would be probably a ton of work for you, but I'm sure that you could gain a whole nother section of viewers who could just jump on for not only the news and what's happening aspect, but for your opinion. Like, this person's not telling me to cut out the opinion. They're just saying, like, something like that. And then this person brought up what Rick Inser's been doing. Okay. And give me a second here. I want to show you. So I know that a lot of you are probably familiar, but for the last, probably about the last year, it's probably been about the last year or so, maybe 2 years, Rick has decided to get back to doing what he used to do when he worked for the paper, which was writing these little side blurbs about what's going on in local government. And I'll give you an example of it right here. Here's a good example of that. Okay. Here's Rick's post from 10 hours ago. Okay. And this is about the meeting, the Delaware County Commissioners meeting yesterday. Okay. So for anybody that watched yesterday's meeting, you watched it, you listened to it, you watched my rundown. This is what Rick had to say about it. Rick says, Delaware County government took steps this week to get vacant lots and rundown houses back in the hands of tax-paying owners. Hundreds of properties are listed in the yearly tax sales and never are bought, especially in neighborhoods close to downtown Muncie. The Muncie Land Bank, working with others like Habitat for Humanity, have the way and means to restore some homes and build new ones with help from government. Nate Howard of the Land Bank asked county commissioners for 24 properties the group found that never sell. Most are vacant lots in Old West End, Industrial, and Whiteley. More than 30 new homes will be built in the Old West End with help from the state ready money. The city just tore down a couple houses in that neighborhood that were far beyond repair. Sherry Riggin, commissioner president, welcomed the effort and has supported other efforts by that group, Habitat and others, to rebuild Muncie. The commissioners set a public hearing on August 17th to open discussion with neighbors about the giveaway. The county has also entertained other property owners living next to vacant lots on the tax sale list who want to buy them. Chris Young has been asking about a property on West 8th Street that has been an eyesore to neighbors. Commissioner Shannon Henry also supported getting properties back in taxpayer hands as local government continues to struggle with declining tax base. Delaware County has lost millions in property values with the closing of Chevy and Warner Gear besides Ball Corp leaving years ago, and now the Muncie Mall being demolished. The result is values on remaining land, homes, and businesses businesses and industries have increased by the state and local governments, causing higher taxes. So he gave a couple paragraphs blurb about just that section of the meeting, and he published it 10 hours ago. But then yesterday, he also published a story on another part of the meeting. 20 hours ago, 24 hours ago, he published a story about the human rights situation in Muncie, the Human Rights Commissioner. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Okay. Thank you. I don't know what that is, but I appreciate that. And thank you very much, Puppy. As I don't know what that is. Thank you. Thank you for your flower, I guess. Thank you. Are you thinking about adding like a week in review episode or something like that? Yeah, I think that's what it is. So I guess that's what I'm asking. Look, I very much get what the people I was talking, because I talked to other people about this today too, and they were kind of on board with what this person was saying. So it's like this. Alva says, and I appreciate what Alva says, and I take this means a lot to me. And a lot of people ask this. My grandpa asks this all the time. Alva says, I don't know that if the show was ran differently, that I would have taken an interest in something 950 miles away that absolutely has nothing to do with me. The city of Muncie could prosper and turn into the number 1 city in America, and Alva wouldn't give a shit. It doesn't affect him one way or another. Muncie could a whole could swallow up and swallow Muncie whole, killing all of us. And Alva, it doesn't affect Alva one bit. But Alva's here nightly. Not only is he here nightly, he now researches stuff. You can turn on about any meeting in the Muncie, Delaware County area and see Alva is on there watching, commenting, interacting. Alva knows more about what's going. And I'm going to be honest. I don't consider Alva a viewer. Alva, in my opinion, is like part of the team. Alva helps because of the shit that he says or the stuff that he passes on to Kate or what he called it. Like he called me 2-3 times today and talked to me about different things. That's a help because there are things that I miss and things that I don't get and don't have time for everything. So stuff like that helps. But that's a big thing that he's saying there. So I'm not going to change anything. The show's not going anywhere. The way that we do things, it's not going anywhere. Yes, I always want to improve. No, I don't want to run people off because I'm talking too long about a haircut before the show. And we like to try to keep it light. But I understand that politics is a dry subject, and that part of the problem is, part of the reason people don't care is because people don't like to hear about it. They don't give a shit. It's not interesting. So I try to make it fun. We try to make it light. And, I started to watch your show because I could talk to you about what I wanted to say. Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that. We try to help people here and do things, and I can still have back and forth with you on things related to it. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I'll help any of you if you guys contact me, or people that I know, people I agree with, people I disagree with. And I love that back and forth. That's part. this is like a homegrown business. I've done this, and we've turned this with Kate's help and Brandon's help and other people along the way. But the majority of it, and no matter what we do, it's all you guys. Because if you guys weren't here, and the people that are listening to this, whether you're watching it here or on X or Facebook or Rumble, the one person on Rumble, Lenny, or everybody on the audio podcast, it's for you guys. You guys make the show. But I understand what this person is saying, that like this person, they watch the show, maybe once every couple of months when there's something big that pertains to their neck of the woods, or if they're going to be talking about something that's really, big, they tune in and they watch. And on shows like that, they might watch the entire show. And when they tune in, they hit like and they engage, do whatever, and that happens. But other times they might tune in and they might watch the first 10 minutes, but then they log off and they go away and they don't hear anything. And there might be something really important. So I guess like tonight's not a good example. Let me go back, and I very much appreciate you saying that, Amanda. And I will tell you, as much as I appreciate your comments and as much as I appreciate the back and forth that we've had, I would give anything to not know you. And that sounds really rude, but it's not. I wish we didn't know each other, because if we didn't know each other, that would mean things weren't the way that they are. And so I appreciate that you're here, and I'm glad and happy to know you. And I want you to stick around, and I want to continue telling you things that affect your life down in Henry County. And we're going to stay involved with that and stay part of that. And anytime I know stuff in Henry County, I will help you with that and all of that. But I wish that we didn't know each other. And that's probably the best thing I can say to you. I hate that. I hate that we know each other. I feel like you could do a weekly review video in less than 10 minutes. See, so that's what I'm wanting to hear from you guys, from Stumblefoot, from people. I have plenty of political issues down here that I'm involved with. I don't need to watch Muncie, but I've learned so much from this show, and that helps me down here. Absolutely. And that's the thing that I try to get people to understand. Even though laws are different, and maybe, you guys, somebody doesn't have a specific, you don't have a clerk, you got somebody else, or you've got, constables, and you don't have this, or whatever. The laws are different, and elected officials do different things. But the basic building block of being a citizen and fighting back and voicing back, that's the message. It's not specifically who or how or what. It's the basic idea of being a citizen and being willing to fight back and push back and try to make things better, and to understand how important local politics are. Rob Kendall said the other day that, Rob does 3 hours a day, and what he does is, most of his shows he tries to focus on local politics, but on a day where he's going to talk about national stuff, he does 2 hours of local politics and an hour of national. Something like that's interesting to me. The idea of doing national at some point is interesting to me. I've always talked about that. And that's, I've got ideas for the future, God willing, we'll get there and we'll do it. But I guess my idea is, I've toyed around with in the past the idea of doing a show. Okay. Doing a show. I'm off screen here real quick. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to try to find an episode that I can point out. Matter of fact, I'm going to take a break really quick, and then we will come back and we will wrap this up. You guys sit tight. We'll be right back, and I'll finish this up, And I do want your thoughts, and we'll wrap this up. And maybe it's something you guys got to think about, and you'll tell me tomorrow or in a couple days or whatever. But I'll kind of tell you what I got in mind. All right, you guys sit tight. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. So I'm looking here. I'm trying to find one. Okay, right here. Here's a good example. All right, so this is a description from the 674th episode. It's episode 674, titled "Muncie's Tomorrow: The Promises, the Problem, and the Truth." And so the description is as follows. Muncie, Indiana stands at the precipice of an uncertain and potentially consequential chapter in the city's political future. As Muncie Mayor Dan Ridenour hands the city over to acting Mayor Jeff Howe, the recently appointed deputy mayor and current director of the Muncie Redevelopment Commission, effective at 12 a.m. Monday, June 1st, 2026, some wonder what the future holds. Okay. So there we're talking about Dan. This was recorded on, when was this recorded on? Let's find out. So this was recorded and broadcast on the 31st. Okay. So this was on Sunday. This was a Sunday night show, and we were waiting for Ridenour to hand over the reins at midnight. So the first topic is talking about Howe becoming the deputy mayor or acting mayor. Host Kristopher Bilbrey breaks down the impending transition of power at Muncie City Hall as Mayor Dan Ridenour prepares to hand over the reins of the government to acting Mayor Jeff Howe at midnight on June 1st. With Howe recently appointed deputy mayor while continuing to serve as the director of Muncie Redevelopment Commission, questions remain about the legality of the move and what the coming days and weeks could mean for the city and the city's future direction. All right. Then the next topic, Bilbrey also previews what could be a highly attended and potentially controversial night at Muncie City Hall on Monday evening, as the Muncie City Council holds a public hearing at 6:45 p.m., followed immediately by its regularly scheduled monthly meeting at 7 p.m., during which the council will consider several important ordinances and resolutions. Will the council chambers be packed? Will important questions be answered? Will the council do what's best for the city, for Ridenour, for the city, or for Ridenour's administration itself? And what challenges, surprises, and controversies could arise as Muncie enters this temporary leadership transition? Then, third, Bilbrey examines what the city may face over the next several weeks with an acting mayor at the helm, and explains why local residents should pay close attention to the decisions being made. Finally, four, the political spotlight turns to a viral traffic stop by a Palm Beach County, Florida Sheriff's Office deputy that has sparked outrage nationwide. A law enforcement officer pulled over a woman and accused her of illegally using her cell phone with her right hand while driving. There was only one problem. The woman didn't have a right hand. Bilbrey examines the body camera footage, raising concerns about accountability and professionalism in law enforcement, and why this incident should serve as a case study for police training programs and departments across America. Okay. From local government and city politics to accountability, leadership, and public trust, episode 674 is packed with the stories that matter most. Okay. So that was a really long description that covered 4 topics, and that show lasted two hours. So in 2 hours, I talked about 4 specific points. Now, 2.5 or 3 of those points were very similar because they dealt with how. And I remember in that episode, we talked about the transition paperwork, like the documents that they signed. So did he really get signed in on the 29th, or was it the 5th? We had all those questions raging, and it wasn't until the 1st, that next day when I went to the meeting, that I got the new paperwork of the 5th. So we went through that paperwork. Okay. Then we went through And we talked about how long he was going to be the mayor, the acting mayor. He only had 15 days or whatever, that questionable stuff, because they hadn't done the legal stuff yet. So there was a lot of questionable stuff there. Then I talked about the council meeting. We went over the agenda, and I shared what was going to happen at the meeting and talked about all of those big issues. And we went through all of that. And then we talked about that viral video. Okay. So those 4 topics took me 2 hours doing it the way that I normally do it. In the past, what I've done is I've played with going in and chopping down the videos. So I could take that video, and instead of having one long live video, which are always in the live channel section, I could make a video about the transition and then package it front, back, and middle, put it out. Make a video, cut down a video, and make it about the traffic stop. Package it front, in, and middle, put it out, do it that way. Cut down a thing about just the council meeting and package and put it out. The problem with that, and the reason that that's hard for me, is the way that we do the show. It would be easier if the comments were up on the screen, because a lot of times we've got comments during the section on the viral video about something about the house section from the very beginning. And then in the middle of that viral video, I will see that comment and I'll start talking about that thing. So in the past, what I would do is, it would take me forever because I'm anal. I would go through, and instead of just going in and saying, well, I talked about the first topic for 20 minutes. So I go and cut from the beginning to 20 minutes. And then the second topic was from 21 minutes to 48 minutes, then cut there. And the third topic was from 48 to 1:30, and then cut there. And then the last topic was from 30 to the end and cut there. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't just go make those cuts and throw it out there. I would have to go through it, and I would watch it minute by minute by minute. And if ever there was something that didn't pertain to the topic at hand of that video, I would cut it out. I would cut that out. So I'm editing a video not just once, but I'm editing it 4 times to put out the content. And then that's taken all night, taken all day. And then by the time I'm done with that, I'm like, damn, now I got to put together a show for tonight. So first off, it's not about the money. It's not about ROI, return on investment. I'm talking, when I say return on investment, I mean what I'm getting out of it as a human, what people are getting out of it. It doesn't make sense because I'm really anal, where old partners of mine, other people that we might have known, would just say, screw it, cut it, put it up, put it out, and people deal with it. I can't do that. I can't do that. So what I think might be easier to do, or might be better to do, would be to do the video like I do this video, like we do, and then know what we talk about. Okay, so like, for example, last night I put in last night's episode, I had initially said last night's episode was going to be solely about the financial folly. Okay. And the description for last night's episode originally was: host Kristopher Bilbrey highlights financial folly by Muncie Mayor Dan Ridenour in relation to the mayor's most recent community update from Friday, July 17th, 2026, which references the Muncie Fire Department's proposed plans for the new fire station. Okay. That's all it was. Well, then when we got into the video, we also went through the commissioners meeting. And then at the end of the meeting, I shared what I was talking about, the emails and not getting responses from Dan. So I ended up talking about 2 other things. So I went back after the video and I added those sections to the description. So people watching it today would know what the video is matched with. So instead of doing something before the video or editing, what I could do is I could go and talk about this video or the old video I talked about with those 4 topics. Then after that video, like tomorrow morning, I could record a 10-minute little blurb, just a video saying, hello, this is Kristopher Bilbrey. In episode 704, we talked about the Parks Board meeting that was supposed to be scheduled for Tuesday, but it was canceled at the last minute. Some are questioning if it had to do with the quorum or if it's a leadership issue. Were they at the Muncie Fair, at the Delaware County Fair, or did information just come up? If you want more information on that, tune in to episode 705. Then we moved on to talk about whatever else we talked about. Then we talked about the information that I learned. The information I learned was Hal hasn't been going to the Parks Board meetings to talk about what's been going on. He's been emailing them. I have issued a record request, and once I get those, I can put them out. And so I could do these little blurbs. Sometimes they'd be 10 minutes. Sometimes they'd be 3 minutes. But that would give people the information. And then if they wanted to watch the longer sections, they could come and watch the meeting. So I think that might be an option that I'm going to do. I don't know. I'm just going to have to experiment around with this. I feel the video to feed the video to Monty. Here's the problem with that. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying here. Oh, I saw that. I saw that. I was off screen. I don't know how frozen was I? How long did that happen? 10 minutes? Oh, that don't matter. Editing videos to cut them into digestible pieces, too long, time consuming. I agree. Feed the video to Monty and tell him to give you a 15-20 minute script hitting on the highlights. That might be interesting. The only problem is I don't know how to feed the video to him, because you can't just take the link and give it to Monty, because he says he needs the actual video. You understand what I'm saying?
There are other programs you can use instead of using Monty. He's a dick anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So do you think if you...
So that's where I was getting... I fed some of the Sproul's interviews into, I think it was Gemini.
Okay, I was going to ask you. So,
and I just gave it the link.
Okay, so you did that to Gemini.
Yeah.
What Sproul's interview? Oh, the one that he did with like the
that
different
lady.
people. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And then his Q&As.
Okay, so then you fed that. So then I could be like, hey, give me a 10-minute breakdown, give me a script of this, and then I could go on there and just read that. That's a very good idea. So I'm just letting you guys know, if you have thoughts or ideas, or no, that's a really, really good idea. I've actually thought about that in the past, because I tried to do it with Monty, but Monty wouldn't work because he's a dumbass.
Yeah, I did it with Gemini, and it ate them and spat some stuff back out.
That's a good idea. Well, something's going to be coming. I need to do something, because I do. The person that initially told me this said, I think, and I didn't ask this person, but I think they've had this conversation with other people, and other people have said, man, if he had something like this, like, I would watch that. And I think that's funny. Just kind of in the last part of this, I want to say that another person, 2 people had a conversation, and they were talking about me. And one of the people was trying to tell the person, like, don't believe all the bullshit, like, he's right, blah, 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 blah. And it's funny. Very few people anymore run around saying that I'm wrong. You might not like me because of what I say, but they say I don't like him because of what he says. Very few people say he's wrong. And matter of fact, just going back through that description from episode 674. It's episode 705. 674. That was 25 episodes ago. And everything that I talked about, and I remember that show going back and talking about that, like the things happened that I said would happen at the council meeting, everything that I questioned about how, look at everything we found out. Look, now everything now that we know, 25 episodes about how all of that shit was basically right. Would you watch a short format recap? And I'll be honest, I don't even care. I mean, that's a good thing, and I'm okay if people answer that or don't answer whatever. I'm okay. I don't even care if the people here would watch the short cat. I'm not trying to get people to leave here to go watch that. I just want to pick up the other people that we're leaving on the table, because I know that there are people out there that we're leaving.
Thinking is that, we have people who are Madison County people.
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't catch a description, but they've got a 10-minute recap the next day.
Absolutely.
They watch that and they
can decide if they want to watch to invest
the time into a full episode. And same with some of the people here. I mean, not everybody is an every night viewer. Some people are here because, he's talking about Muncie, so I want to know
about this specific. Yeah,
right.
I think your answer, your idea, if I can get Gemini to do, if that'll work, that would be a great idea.
There's got to be an AI.
Because here's what I don't like doing. I would never want AI to write a script for me. What I would be okay with is AI taking my words and making a script out of my words.
Or giving you bullet points.
Yeah.
To work off of.
Yeah.
So you can just talk through it, 10 minutes, done.
Mm-hmm. That's
important
brilliant
thing. Because I think coming on and saying, well, we talked about the board and the park board and, blah, blah, blah. I think people want your opinion too.
Yeah. So, and that's what the person said. They're not trying to make it just journalism.
Right. I think you're leaning more into the journalism with your example you did earlier. I think Gemini would help you pull your opinion into it a little more.
That's a good idea.
So maybe it's a shit idea.
Well,
but I'm interested to know if people would be interested in watching a recap.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if those people are dead. I don't know if they've all left. You can answer. You can put one or two in the comments, people. You are free to do that. What is he saying here? Releasing emails you receive on short videos and Facebook posts would be a good way to pass the knowledge and start conversations amongst our friends and acquaintance. Yeah. All right. Well, be looking for that. Something's coming. I'm going to be working on doing something there. I'm also going to shave and get a haircut. I might try and do that tomorrow. So that means I should have it done by September. We'll see. So, if any of you have an idea that you didn't want to share, you thought people would make fun of you, or you thought I would be mad and yell or whatever, if you want to send me your idea off screen, you are more than welcome to do that. You can find all the ways to contact us. I appreciate everybody always. If you're like, no, screw it, I'm not sending you anything because I like what you do now and I'm not changing it. I don't want you to change it. That's perfectly fine too. I completely understand it. That's not going to change this at all. I like Kate's idea. And maybe a lot of you are saying, yeah, that's a great idea. So I'm not going to tell you anything because that's a great idea. That's fine too. We'll try that. I'll maybe put it in its own playlist and then just let that be. I think that's a really good idea. So we shall see. I will tell you that Ridenauer put out another community update. He's put up like 3 community updates in like the last 3 days. They put this one up at a more legitimate time, at a normal time when people when work was going on. I was going to play it, but I'm not going to waste time with it. I mean, it's nothing. We're not getting like lots of really great information out of it. It's a minute. It's a minute long. That was our Parks Board meeting. I get what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely. Very strange. So it is what it is. Tomorrow, let me see here. What is going on? Tomorrow is the Muncie Board of Works meeting at 9 a.m. The the Muncie Sanitary District at 11:30. And then Henry County Commissioners at 6 p.m. But the Public Services Committee meeting at 5:30. That's the biggie. I'm going to do everything I can to go to the Board of Works meeting and the Sanitary District meeting. I want to see what's going on here at these meetings. I have some things I think I want to talk to Ted and Lola and Ken about. So we'll see what goes on there. And then I want to go talk to Adam. And sadly, Tim won't be there because he's off being a toy soldier. And so we'll do that. Kate, will you please ask Chris before the end of the show to explain what he was going to... Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There are people, and I won't name names, but there are people who want me to go to that meeting, I think, to kind of keep tabs on Adam and see. And I love doing that, and I'll do that. My big push for going to the meeting was wanting to talk to Tim Overton, who's the Republican Party chairman and whatnot, but he won't be there tomorrow. That said, I am going to, God willing, go to the Sanitary District meeting tomorrow. So I'm going to go to the Board of Works meeting at 9 a.m. At 11:30, I'm going to go to the Sanitary District meeting. And then at 5:30, I'm going to the Public Services Committee meeting. Tomorrow's show should be, unless Ridenauer and co somehow derails the day tomorrow we should have an interesting show talking about the Muncie Fire Department situation. I'm saying it should be live streamed, so check it out, tune in, and we'll see what's going to happen. Should be an interesting show. I guess. Oh, no, I'll live stream it. I will live stream the meeting because I was going to last time. I think it's good. So, yeah, we will have it live streamed. You'll be able to find it right here at 5:30 as long as everything's going well. I am going to take another video camera with me to record it static in case something goes wrong. So, we will be doing that. So, you will be able to see the meeting tomorrow about the fire department right here at 5:30, and we will go from there. So you guys have a great rest of your evening. God bless each and every one of you. Take care. Have a good evening. Have a good tomorrow, and we will see you in episode 706. Good night. Goodbye.